one, I have been following his footsteps. He used to share his experience with Anna University and several things, and I think I give my credit of getting the PhD to Dr. Sudhakar. I started my PhD at the age of 50, okay? And it has been a very overwhelming journey. So, without wasting much time, I will just take you through a few inputs that I wanted to share. Not only about supply chain management, because I don't think this is a class to talk about what is supply chain, right? All of you are MBA students, having taken operations or supply chain or any other topic as in the same line, you would already know what supply chain is all about. What I'm going to talk to you about is how supply chain has changed over the last few years, especially post-pandemic. What are the career opportunities available and how you can fit yourself there, right? So, I'm trying to introduce to you a career which I say is recession-proof. So, all the careers that we have, we are worried that these careers are going to get going, will be, a recession. Once there is a recession, once there is a problem in the business environment, when there is a problem with the corporate world, things are going to get slackened out. This is one career which is going to be recession-proof. So, stop me any point of time, ask me questions. I would love it if you ask questions and I am able to answer them. Okay, instead of me going through the slides one by one. This is more just a framework that I have made to take me through the 45 minutes, because otherwise I'll be talking across so many things that I want to share. I mean, I could talk for 45 hours. So please stop me and ask me wherever you feel it is pertinent. So the schedule for the session is, I will talk to you a little bit about the supply chain management spectrum. I will introduce to you the fact that there has been a total paradigm shift, right? We no longer are worried about the conventional or traditional supply chain. I'll tell you the reason why. There are new challenges which have come upon in the 2025 supply chain. As of the moment, while I have been a professor handling MBA students for about 6 years, and another 1 year I have been doing part-time, coaching for MBA students, I still am into business. I am part of the industry which handles project management, supply chain and several other things. I do a lot of consulting along with my husband. We are worried about how the roles in supply chain are evolving. There is a shift in the way we are looking at the roles. So I would like to touch upon that, and of course the Q&A. So supply chain spectrum, a little bit about that. Now, if you see how things have moved, I'll touch upon only the red parts more. Okay. Of course, the supply chain market is growing hugely. 35.3 billion US dollars in 2025, and by 2034 we are going to touch 89.6 billion US dollars. Now, but still, if you see the points which I make here, 60% of the companies are prioritizing supply chain, but 80% of the leaders in supply chain say that they have failed totally to deliver the expected returns. Whenever there is a failure, there is a job. If there is no challenge, if there is no failure, if there is no problem, you and me will not have a job. So be happy that there are challenges, there are gaps, there are constraints, there are risks. Because if those exist, then you and me will exist more, right? Not to mention this from a negative perspective. We want businesses to flourish. We want economy to be flourishing. We want people to be happy, planet to be sustained. But at the same time, with evolving the environment and evolving market and evolving customer issues, if there are gaps, you and me technically exist. If you see here, fewer than 10% of the companies have achieved automation. Now, Industry 4.0 has come in being long ago. We are talking about IoT, artificial intelligence, blockchain, virtual reality, augmented reality, so many things, right? But still, if you see, fewer than 10% companies have achieved automation, which means there is so much of gap available for you and me to play a role. Workforce shortages affect 76% of supply chain and 37% report severe gaps. Now, in fundamental roles in transport and warehousing which have changed totally. We are into robotics. We are into very advanced WMS packages. SAP has taken us, in a much tenfold improvement, but still 37% are reporting severe gaps in fundamental transport and warehousing. Supply chain disruptions. Now, my PhD has been on supply chain disruptions. Still, cost organizations on an average 184 million US dollars worldwide. Fewer than 8% businesses feel that they are in control of supply chain risks. There are so much of risks and disruptions. Just like the pandemic, there are so much of risks and disruptions. We'll talk about them shortly. We find that fewer than 8% people, companies are able to handle it. 63% report greater than expected losses. If the supply chain is not robust, elastic and sustained, anyway the business will not function well. See, businesses don't compete with each other. Supply chains compete with each other. If the supply chains are robust and strong and elastic, just like a rubber band, so you stretch it, it should come back to its position, right? Wherever required, you should be able to get the pulse. Like if I go to the doctor and I ask the doctor to check the pulse, doctor should be able to tell me whether I have viral flu, whether I have what kind of disease I'm going to have a high blood pressure, or there's some other problem, or there's a heart issue, my palpitations are more. So people in the supply chain domain are the people who should be able to check the pulse of the business, tap the businesses in the right places with the right metrics and the right technology to be able to take the business forward. So prognosis is very important in supply chain, and without a supply chain, industries which cannot sustain. So you and me have wonderful jobs in supply chain lying ahead of us where we can make that difference. Although you are totally aware of supply chain, I presume, still a little bit of understanding. What do we talk about in a supply chain? So basically we say supplier network, distribution network, and we talk about an integrated enterprise. Earlier days we used to talk about enterprise in isolation. We are talking about an integrated enterprise, procurement, manufacturing, market, distribution, everything. And we are talking about information, product, financial and knowledge moving in both the directions. Right? We are depending on capacity, information, human resources and several constraints to sustain this entire thing. Supply chain remains the same game that you have studied in your textbook. This is entirely a textbook update, as you see, picked up from one of the articles from Michigan State University. We are finally moving materials from one end and reaching it to the consumer. This is basically what supply chain is all about. Now, at each of these points in supply chain, there are gaps, there are risks, there are issues, there are constraints, and there are jobs. Right? Can you just tell me what are some of the success factors or failure factors that you feel are there in supply chain from your knowledge? What do you feel are some of the factors which will affect success or failure? Okay, transportation.
Procurement.
Yeah, these are departments. What are those drivers? What are the things that can fail?
Packing.
Pardon? Quality, okay, quality of the products, quality of the process, quality of the people.
Expectation of the customer.
The package, the system on which we are running, right? Database. So when you say package, when you say database systems, so the basic technology, the basic systems, if they fail, you will not be able to sustain. What else?
Customer expectation.
Customer expectations. So managing the customer expectations. Now, I would like the drone to come and supply to me every day. I would want eggs and bread to be supplied at my doorstep every day. Now I want the drone to come and supply. Is it possible? Possible. Is it cost effective? Maybe not. Right? So it is very important to map cost versus the deliverables, the quality that you talked about very rightly. The package has to sustain that, and the customer expectations. Very high customer expectations, are we able to meet? Yes, we are able to meet. I am able to meet all expectations of customers with the technology, resource and everything that I have. But I may not be able to sustain the business. I may have to shut down my shop.